The night was quiet on Oak Island. The sea was calm, and the air was heavy with the feeling that something big was about to happen. Rick and Marty Legina stood near the edge of the garden shaft, surrounded by their team. The sound of drilling machines echoed through the darkness. They had been digging for days, and their eyes were tired. But there was something different about this night. Every movement of the drill felt like a heartbeat, and every sound from beneath the ground made the crew's hands tighten on their tools. It was as if the island itself was breathing. When the drill reached deeper layers of soil, the machine began to make a strange metallic sound. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Rick leaned forward and asked the operator to pause. The radar technician watching the monitor noticed something unusual. The readings were jumping, and a red light flashed on the screen. It showed a large object buried several feet below, and it wasn't rock or wood, it was metal. Marty looked at Rick with wide eyes. They both knew they had found something that could change everything. For more than 200 years, people had been searching for the Oak Island treasure. Many believed it was hidden by pirates, some said it was the work of the Knights Templar, and others thought it was just a myth. But that night, standing under the floodlights, the mystery felt real. The excavator's arm moved slowly, digging deeper into the earth. The crew stood in silence, listening to the soft hum of the machines and the sound of metal scraping against rock. Suddenly, there was a loud clang followed by a heavy vibration that ran through the ground. The operator stopped the machine, and for a moment, no one moved. Then Rick walked forward, his boots sinking into the wet soil, and brushed away the dirt with his hand. Underneath, something solid gleamed faintly in the light. It was a large, rust-covered metal surface. The shape was unclear, but everyone could see faint markings etched into it. Circles, lines, and what looked like crosses. Marty bent down and whispered, "This doesn't look natural." Rick touched the surface gently and said, "This might be it." The crew began to clear the soil around the object. As more of it appeared, the strange markings became clearer. One of the symbols looked like a cross inside a circle, similar to the one used by the Templars. The atmosphere grew tense. A cool wind blew through the pit, and someone in the background said, "This place doesn't feel right." The camera lights flickered for a moment, and even the air seemed heavier. When they finally freed the object from the dirt, they realized it wasn't a flat surface, but a box, an old metal chest sealed tightly, covered in mud and rust. The team gathered around as the crane lifted it from the hole. Everyone held their breath. The box was heavy, so heavy that it took several men to move it onto solid ground. As soon as it touched the surface, the compass one of the crew members was holding began to spin wildly. The needles wouldn't stop moving. "That's strange," said the scientist. "It's reacting to something magnetic." Marty looked at him with worry. "Is it safe?" The expert shook his head. "I don't know, but whatever's in there, it's giving off a strong field." They decided not to open it right away. The crew placed it inside a containment case and waited until the equipment could measure the radiation and magnetic levels. Rick stared at the box and whispered, "We've come too far to stop now." The sound of waves hitting the shore could be heard in the distance. It felt as if the entire island was listening. When the box was finally opened, everyone moved closer. The lid made a sharp metallic noise as it came loose. Inside was a layer of dirt, stones, and old cloth covering something shiny. Rick slowly lifted the cloth, and for a moment, the entire crew fell silent. Beneath it were gold coins, jewels, and ancient artifacts. The light reflected off the gold, filling the pit with a soft golden glow. Marty gasped and said, "It's real." The coins were stamped with old European symbols, some even bearing marks from centuries long past. There were also strange metal pieces shaped like crosses and symbols no one could identify. Rick picked up one of them carefully and noticed something carved on the back, a message in a language they couldn't read. It looked like an ancient script, older than anything he had seen before. Excitement turned into shock when one of the experts took a closer look. "These markings aren't random," he said. "They're similar to the Templar code." That single statement sent chills through everyone. Could it be that the lost treasure of the Knights Templar had been hidden on Oak Island all along? Rick and Marty exchanged glances. They always believed the island held more than just gold. But this discovery went beyond wealth. It connected to history, religion, and mystery. Yet even in that moment of triumph, there was unease. The air around them felt charged. The cameras recorded everything, but when the footage was played back later, strange flickers appeared, like bursts of light moving around the box. The team decided to send samples of the metal to a laboratory for testing. When the report came back the next day, the scientist's words left everyone speechless. He said, "The composition of this metal doesn't match any known alloy. It contains elements not found naturally on Earth." Marty frowned. "What are you saying? That it's not from here?" The scientist hesitated. "I'm saying it's impossible to explain." Rick sat quietly processing the information. "So Oak Island isn't just about treasure," he said. "Maybe it's about something beyond this world." His words hung in the air, heavy and uncertain. The mystery had grown even deeper. A few days later, while the team continued scanning the site, new readings appeared on the radar. This time, they detected another large chamber beneath the one they had just excavated, almost 200 feet down. The outline looked like a sealed stone room with a large object at its center. Rick immediately decided to investigate. As the drilling began again, the ground trembled slightly, and the equipment started showing strange electrical interference. "It's like something down there doesn't want to be disturbed," said one of the workers. When they finally broke through the upper layer of rock, a cold gust of air escaped from below. The smell was strange, old, and metallic. The lights flickered again, and the camera lens fogged up. The crew looked down into the opening, and what they saw made their hearts race. A circular chamber built entirely of stone, with symbols carved on every wall. In the middle stood another sealed box, larger than the first. Rick climbed down slowly, followed by Marty and the crew. The chamber was cold, and a low humming sound echoed around them. It felt alive, like the sound was coming from the walls themselves. Marty ran his hand over the carvings and said, "These are the same symbols as before." Rick nodded, or wanted us to warn us not to. As they approached the box, the humming grew louder. They stopped, unsure if they should continue. After a few moments, Rick whispered, "Let's open it." The lid was sealed with thick metal clasps, but they managed to pry it open. Inside were more gold objects and several old scrolls wrapped in oilcloth. The writing on them was faded, but still visible. "This looks ancient," said one of the experts, "possibly medieval." The scrolls contained drawings of strange machines, maps, and notes written in an unknown language. But before they could study them further, a group of black SUVs arrived at the site early the next morning. Government officials stepped out, showing documents that declared the area under federal investigation. They ordered everyone to stop working immediately. Rick tried to argue, but they refused to explain. All they said was, "This site is now under national security." Within hours, the cameras were turned off and the entire site was sealed up. The crew was escorted out and the island fell silent again. News spread quickly online. People began posting theories on social media. Some said the team had discovered Vatican documents. Others claimed they had uncovered ancient alien technology. Hashtags trended everywhere, demanding the truth. But Rick and Marty were not allowed to speak publicly. One message leaked from Marty's phone simply said, "We saw something unexplainable, but we are forbidden to talk about it." The public grew restless. If it was just treasure, why would the government intervene? What could be so dangerous about an old box of coins? Some believed it had to do with lost Templar secrets, while others thought it threatened historical narratives. As debates spread online, experts around the world began analyzing the few images that had been released. One historian said, "The artifacts matched descriptions of relics mentioned in 14th century records from France." Another scientist argued that the strange metal pieces could not have been made with technology from that time. He said, "They show signs of extreme heat, far beyond what ancient furnaces could reach."
These contradictions only deepened the mystery. Weeks later, Rick finally agreed to appear in a private interview. He sat alone in front of the camera, his face pale and eyes tired. He said, "We went there for gold, but what we found changed everything." There was a pause. "I can't say much, but there was more down there than we expected, something that shouldn't exist." His voice trembled. It wasn't just treasure, it was history itself, alive and waiting. He looked straight into the camera and said, "Some secrets are too costly to reveal." After that, he refused to answer any more questions. The interview spread across the internet. People analyzed every word, every facial expression. Some said he looked scared, others said he looked enlightened. Whatever the truth, it was clear that Oak Island was no longer just a legend about buried gold.
Some theorists claimed that Oak Island lay on a global energy line, where the Earth's magnetic forces intersect, making it a hotspot for ancient civilizations. Videos and maps filled the internet, trying to connect the dots. In the following months, a special panel of experts was formed to discuss the findings. In a dimly lit conference room, an archaeologist, a metallurgist, and a historian sat around a holographic projection of the excavation site. The archaeologist said, "The carvings and artifacts clearly show human craftsmanship. This was the work of a highly advanced ancient society." The metallurgist disagreed. "The material we found can't be replicated even with our technology. It's made of elements not found naturally on Earth. This isn't ancient, it's something else." The historian leaned forward. "Maybe both of you are right. Perhaps it's a message, not just an object. Something left behind for us to find." Silence filled the room as they all stared at the holographic chamber spinning before them. The question was no longer about who buried the treasure, but why. Meanwhile, new satellite scans showed faint outlines of more structures beneath Oak Island, suggesting there were multiple chambers connected by tunnels. But excavation was forbidden. Some locals said that at night, strange lights could be seen glowing faintly near the sealed pit. Others claimed to hear humming sounds coming from underground, like a faint vibration that never stopped. These stories fueled more theories online. Some said it was ancient machinery still running beneath the island. Others said it was a natural magnetic field. But for those who had seen the discovery firsthand, like Rick and Marty, the truth was much more complicated. Rick often returned to the island, standing silently near the shore, staring at the spot where it all happened. He told his close friends, "We only scratched the surface. Whatever lies deeper is beyond us." He looked toward the ocean and said, "Sometimes the earth keeps secrets for a reason." His words carried the weight of someone who had seen something extraordinary and could never forget it. Marty, too, became quieter after the discovery. In private conversations, he said, "It wasn't just gold. It was knowledge, and maybe we're not ready for it." Years passed, but the story of Oak Island refused to fade. People continued to dig through old records, analyze maps, and debate what had really been found. Some researchers suggested the artifacts might belong to an unknown, ancient group that predated modern civilization. Others believed the treasure was part of a larger network stretching across the Atlantic, connecting to other mysterious sites. But without access to the site, no one could prove anything. Oak Island became a place of legend again. Only this time, the legend was backed by real evidence that no one was allowed to see. Late one evening, Rick gave a small statement to a group of researchers. He said, "We found something. Something that made me realize how small we are compared to the history buried beneath us." When asked if he would ever return to dig again, he smiled faintly. "Maybe one day, when the world is ready." His words were simple, but they carried the same weight as the mystery itself. As years went on, the mystery of Oak Island became more than a story about hidden gold. It became a reflection of human curiosity, our desire to seek, to dig, to uncover what lies beyond. It reminded people that not all answers are meant to be found. The island, silent and unchanged, continued to watch over its secret. The waves kept crashing on its shores, as they had for centuries, and the wind whispered through the trees. Somewhere beneath, the metal box and the sealed chambers still rested, untouched, holding their truth. And even though the world moved on, those who believed never stopped wondering. What was really inside that second chamber? Was it a message, a warning, or something far greater? The only thing certain was that Oak Island still held something the world wasn't ready to face. The mystery remained alive, breathing through time, waiting for the day when someone brave enough, and perhaps foolish enough, would return to uncover it again. Rick once said in his final recorded words about the site, "We may have found the treasure, but the truth remains buried." And maybe that's how it should be, because some mysteries are not meant to end. They're meant to remind us how much we still don't know. The camera fades on the quiet island, waves rolling gently under the moonlight, as the narrator's voice echoes softly. The mystery of Oak Island lives on, and the next chapter is yet to come. As weeks turned into months, the discovery site on Oak Island started drawing attention far beyond Nova Scotia. The government's presence became more visible, and what began as a few curious officials turned into a full-fledged operation with restricted access zones. Fences went up, new security cameras were installed, and workers who had once been free to come and go suddenly found themselves needing special permits just to enter certain parts of the island. It didn't take long for people to realize that this wasn't just about preserving a historical site. Something much bigger was being hidden. Local residents noticed unmarked ships docking at night, unloading crates that were quickly covered and transported inland. Helicopters flew over the island at odd hours, and strange vibrations could be felt through the ground, as if underground drilling or heavy machinery was at work. When questioned, government spokespeople dismissed everything as standard geological studies, but anyone who had followed the Oak Island story knew that this explanation didn't make sense. If all they were doing was protecting the site, why the secrecy? Why the armed guards? Then came the leak. A former worker who claimed to have been hired briefly by one of the private contractors working for the government told a Canadian news outlet that what they found deep beneath the money pit wasn't gold or silver, it was technology. He said the machinery they uncovered was metallic, unlike anything he had seen before, and it was still operational. He described it as a structure that breathed. He said the walls themselves pulsed, as if the air inside was alive. When he told his supervisor about it, he was told to keep his mouth shut, sign new confidentiality papers, and leave the island immediately. Within days, his online accounts were deleted, and he went into hiding. That story reignited every theory ever proposed about Oak Island, from ancient alien relics to time capsules built by lost civilizations. But there was something more haunting about this claim, because unlike the usual treasure rumors, this one came with supporting evidence. The whistleblower had a photograph that showed a fragment of metallic plating covered in strange inscriptions. Experts who studied the image said the writing didn't match any known alphabet, not even ancient Norse or Phoenician scripts that had been suggested in past theories. Some said it resembled binary code, rows of vertical marks and dots that looked eerily similar to early computing language. As word spread, the Canadian government issued a quick statement calling the photo fake and the claims fabrications by internet conspiracy theorists. But people weren't buying it. The more they tried to cover it up, the more curious everyone became. Independent journalists, historians, and explorers began swarming the area, only to be found blocked by private security. Some claimed their drones were jammed mid-air, unable to capture footage of the site. Others said their cameras malfunctioned the moment they approached the restricted zones. The situation grew even stranger when, a few months later, the island was hit by a mysterious explosion. Locals described a low-frequency boom that shook the nearby mainland, followed by a column of smoke rising above the trees. The government quickly issued a statement saying it was a controlled detonation for safety purposes. But the timing was suspicious. It happened right after reports surfaced about an international research vessel that had been detected off the Nova Scotia coast, possibly on its way to Oak Island. Many believed that whatever was found underground was either destroyed or moved elsewhere. Theories exploded online. Some claimed it was an alien artifact that had been buried centuries ago by a lost civilization to hide its power. Others believed it was an advanced weapon or energy source, something that governments around the world would fight to possess. There were even whispers about a connection to Nikola Tesla's lost experiments, suggesting that Oak Island had once been a testing ground for free energy long before the modern era. But beyond all the noise and speculation, one thing remained clear. The people who had once searched for treasure now believed they had stumbled onto something much more valuable and dangerous. The treasure hunters who had been documenting every detail of their exploration suddenly went silent. Their social media pages stopped updating, and their public appearances were canceled. Some of their closest friends said they had been contacted by government representatives and told not to discuss anything about the site again. A few years later, classified documents began surfacing on hidden forums, supposedly from insiders who had seen the island's blueprints. One document described a network of metallic tunnels running beneath the money pit, stretching far beyond the island's perimeter. These tunnels were lined with conductive materials, and readings from underground sensors had shown unusual electromagnetic activity, as if the entire island sat on top of a massive energy source, something artificial, not natural. Scientists who reviewed these alleged files said if the data was real, it would suggest the presence of a massive energy source beneath Oak Island, something artificial, not natural.
A few years later, classified documents began surfacing on hidden forums, supposedly from insiders who had seen the island's blueprints. One document described a network of metallic tunnels running beneath the money pit, stretching far beyond the island's perimeter. These tunnels were lined with conductive materials, and readings from underground sensors had shown unusual electromagnetic activity. It was as if the entire island sat on top of a power grid. Scientists who reviewed these alleged files said if the data was real, it would suggest the presence of a massive energy source beneath Oak Island, something artificial, not natural. That revelation would rewrite history itself, proving that an advanced civilization had once existed long before ours. Others speculated that this discovery might be linked to the Knights Templar, who were rumored to have fled Europe with sacred relics and forbidden knowledge. Perhaps they had hidden their most powerful secrets in a place so remote that no one would ever find it. And yet, every time the truth seemed close to being revealed, another barrier appeared. Journalists were silenced, documents vanished, and witnesses either retracted their statements or disappeared entirely. Even the few surviving members of the original search teams refused to comment, acting as though they had been warned of the consequences. The more you look into it, the clearer it becomes that the Oak Island mystery was never just about treasure. It was about control. Control of information, control of history, and control of whatever force lies beneath that ground. The strange metallic hum that early explorers reported hearing, the unexplainable lights that flickered in the trees at night, the compasses that spun wildly near the money pit, all of these made point toward an energy that we were never meant to understand. Even now, with all our technology and resources, the true heart of Oak Island remains buried, protected by secrecy, time, and perhaps by something not entirely human. Whatever was discovered there changed the lives of everyone involved, and it may have changed the course of history in ways we'll never fully grasp. Some say the artifact was moved to an underground facility in the Arctic. Others insist it's still there, deep beneath the layers of stone and flood tunnels, humming quietly, waiting for the right moment to awaken again. The truth about Oak Island may never be told officially, but the silence of those who know is the loudest evidence of all.